Hi there, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to look at another story from our collection, and this one is called She Left Me for a Mobster. Now I'm More Powerful Than Him. It's actually a really good title. It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? But what's important about the title is that it poses a question. And remember, questions are a powerful tool. They appeal to our innate sense of curiosity, and they also make us feel like we have some kind of control over the narrative. We are not just passive listeners. We are active participants. We are asking questions along with the narrator, and we want answers. Now, let me tell you a bit more about the story. It's a contemporary romance featuring a female protagonist who's a mob boss. It's set in the United States, specifically in New York. Her name is Isabella Rossi, and she's left by her girlfriend Vivian for a married man, the mobster Anthony Tough Tony Tuffarello. Why does Vivian leave her? Well, because she wants to be with Anthony. That's all we know so far. What happens next is up to the narrator to tell us. All right, so without further ado, let's listen to the story. She had been my fiancée for 4 years. We had met when I was 18 and she was a senior in high school. By the time she graduated, we were inseparable. And even though she went off to college in Boston, we somehow managed to keep our relationship intact despite the long distance. In fact, it was during those times that I truly learned how much she loved me. Because every single day after her classes were over, she would call me and talk about everything she had learned that day. Yes, every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. She would call me and tell me all about what was going on in her life. And I did the same thing. I told her about my business and about my life. Even though we were so young back then, we still managed to make it work. Of course, I knew she wanted more than what I could give her, and I wasn't ready to settle down yet, so I broke up with her before she came back home for the summer. She cried. She begged me to reconsider, but I didn't budge. I told her that I loved her, but I couldn't give her the kind of future that she deserved. I wanted her to be with someone who could offer her everything she wanted, someone who could give her the life she always dreamed of. That's why I encouraged her to go out and meet new people, to enjoy herself while she still could. I felt terrible breaking up with her, but I also knew that it was the right thing to do. I knew that she would find someone better than me, someone who could give her everything she wanted, someone who could give her the life she always dreamed of. When summer ended and she left for college, I promised myself that I would do everything in my power to ensure that she would never regret our breakup. I began working harder than ever before, expanding my territory and making more money than I ever had in my life. I traveled all over the country, meeting new people, making new connections, and building my empire. All the while, I couldn't help but think of Vivian and wonder how she was doing. Was she finding the kind of happiness that I had promised her? Was she with someone better than me? One day, about a year into my journey, I decided to take a break and head back to New York for a few days. I was curious to see how things had changed in my absence and maybe, just maybe, to catch up with Vivian. I had missed her, and I wanted to know if she was happy. When I arrived in New York, I went straight to her apartment. I hadn't seen her in almost a year, and I was excited to catch up with her and see how she was doing. As I stood outside her apartment door, my heart raced with anticipation. What if she had found someone new? What if she was happier without me? I took a deep breath and knocked on the door. The moment she opened that door and saw me standing there, I knew that none of that mattered anymore. In that instant, all the time and effort I had spent trying to move on, all the miles I had traveled, all the new experiences I had sought out, it all faded away. It was as if no time had passed at all. We embraced tightly, and in that embrace I realized that my feelings for her had only grown stronger with time. But to my surprise, she didn't invite me in. Instead, she quickly stepped back and closed the door in my face. Confused and hurt, I called her name, but she didn't answer. I tried again, my voice shaking with emotion, but still she didn't respond. I stood there for a while, hoping that she would eventually come to her senses and let me in. But she didn't. Eventually, I had to accept that she didn't want to see me, and I left. As I walked away from her apartment building, I felt a deep sense of sadness wash over me. I couldn't understand why she was rejecting me, especially since I had worked so hard to become the kind of person she deserved. I had accomplished everything I had set out to do. I had built a successful business. I had expanded my territory and made more money than I ever thought possible. I had become everything I had promised her I would be. So why was she still shutting me out? Determined to get answers, I decided to pay her a visit at school. I knew that she wouldn't let me in her apartment, so I figured that seeing her in person would give me the closure I needed. I drove to the campus and parked my car a few blocks away. Then I started walking towards her dormitory, my heart pounding with each step. As I approached her dorm, I saw a group of students standing outside. They were laughing and talking, and I couldn't help but smile, thinking that Vivienne was probably among them. But as I got closer, my smile faded away. They were gathered around a poster on the wall, and the poster had a picture of Vivienne and a man I had never seen before. It was a missing persons poster, and underneath her picture, the words "last seen with" were followed by the name Anthony Tufaro. My blood ran cold as I read his name. Anthony Tufaro, a known mobster in the area. He was a married man with a reputation for violence and intimidation, and now he was connected to Vivienne. My worst fears were confirmed when I saw the date on the poster. It was the same day she had stopped answering my calls and shut me out of her life. In that moment, I knew that I had to find her. Not just to ask her questions, but to protect her from whatever danger she might be in. I turned around and headed back to my car. I had a lot of questions, but I knew that the answers would be dangerous. Still, I owed it to myself, to my love for Vivienne, to find out the truth. So where did you think she went? How do you think she's doing now? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What's the craziest situation you've ever found yourself in? Share your stories below. And don't forget to stay tuned for more exciting stories. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss out on any of our amazing content. Until next time, keep listening and stay curious.